April 17, 1945. Lordsburg, New Mexico. The transport truck lurches to a stop, kicking up a cloud of pale desert dust that catches in the throat like powdered chalk. Hauptchefreiter Annelies Hoffman squints through the canvas opening at a landscape, so alien it might as well be another planet. Endless sky, the color of faded denim. Mountains in the distance that shimmer like mirages. And heat, even as the sun begins its descent, a dry warmth that seems to pull moisture from her very bones. She has been traveling for 6 days. First, the crowded hold of a Liberty ship across the Atlantic, where she vomited until there was nothing left but bile. Then trains through America, this vast, incomprehensible country where the stations gleamed with electric lights and nobody seemed to be starving. And now this, a prisoner of war camp in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by barbed wire and guard towers. She expects the worst. After all, she has been taught what happens to prisoners. The propaganda films showed American camps as death traps, places where captured soldiers were worked to exhaustion and fed scraps unfit for dogs. She has prepared herself mentally for brutality, for hunger, for cold nights and cruel guards. What she is not prepared for is the orderly efficiency with which she and the other women are processed. No beatings, no screaming. Just paperwork, medical examinations conducted by a female doctor who speaks broken German and seems genuinely concerned about a cough Annelies has had for weeks, and then assignment to barracks. Barracks 7. The number means nothing to her yet. The female guard who escorts their group of 12 women is perhaps 30 years old, with auburn hair pinned beneath her cap and a wedding ring catching the late afternoon light. She does not point her rifle at them. She simply walks ahead, occasionally glancing back to make sure everyone keeps pace. The barracks building is long and low, constructed of wood painted a dull olive green. Nothing impressive. Nothing threatening. Just functional. Inside, the air smells of pine soap and something else, something Annelies cannot immediately identify. It takes her a moment to realize it is the absence of smell, the lack of the body odor and mildew and desperation that permeated every military facility she inhabited for the past 4 years. The space is divided into sections, each with 6 beds. Metal frame beds, not the wooden slat platform she expected. Each bed has a thin mattress, and Annelies feels a small relief. At least there is something between her and the metal springs. The guard, whose name tag reads Morrison, speaks in slow, careful English, and another woman, a German prisoner who arrived weeks earlier, translates. They will be issued clothing. Toiletries, bedding. Dinner is at 6 o'clock in the mess hall, lights out at 10. There are rules, of course. Roll call twice daily. No wandering beyond designated areas, but the tone is administrative, not threatening. After Morrison leaves, the women stand in uncertain silence. Annelies moves to the bed assigned to her, third from the window. She sits on the edge, testing the mattress. It gives slightly under her weight. Not comfortable exactly, but not the thin straw-stuffed sack she has slept on since 1941. She thinks of the artillery observation post outside Caen, where she spent 8 months calling in coordinates for the 88mm guns. The sleeping quarters there had been a converted barn, drafty and infested with mice. The mattresses were so thin that every morning she woke with her hip bones aching from the hard floor beneath. But that was normal. That was what soldiers endured. Sacrifice for the fatherland, they called it. Proof of dedication, proof of worthiness. The soft were weak, and the weak had no place in the new Germany. She had believed it, or perhaps she had simply stopped questioning it. An hour later, after a meal in the mess hall that leaves her stunned, white bread, actual butter, some kind of meat stew with vegetables, and coffee that tastes real, not the acorn substitute she has choked down for years. The women return to the barracks. And that is when it happens. Two guards enter, both women pushing a wheeled cart. On the cart are stacks of folded fabric in olive, drab, and white. Morrison speaks, and the translator, whose name is Greta, relays the information. Each prisoner will receive 2 blankets, 1 pillow, 2 pillowcases, and 2 sheets. Annalise stares. She must have misheard. 2 blankets, a pillow. These are luxuries reserved for officers, for the privileged, not for common soldiers. Certainly not for prisoners. But Morrison is already distributing them, moving down the row of beds with mechanical efficiency. When she reaches Annalise, she holds out the items. 2 thick wool blankets, heavy in a way that speaks of genuine warmth. A pillow, rectangular and plump, stuffed with something soft. 2 white pillowcases, cotton, slightly rough but clean. 2 sheets, also white. Annalise takes them automatically, her hands moving before her brain catches up. The wool is dense, tightly woven, the kind of fabric that holds heat. She brings it close to her face without thinking, inhaling. It smells of laundry soap and sunshine. The pillow is light but substantial. She squeezes it and it compresses, then slowly expands again. Cotton, real cotton filling. She has not slept on a pillow since she left her parents' home in Stuttgart in early 1941. Since then it has been rolled-up coats, bundles of spare clothing, or nothing at all. The Reich needed materials for the war effort. Personal comfort was selfish, bourgeois, a betrayal of the collective struggle. She was told this so many times it became truth. Around her, the other women are reacting with similar disbelief. Margaret, a radar operator from Hamburg, holds a blanket against her cheek, eyes closed. Ilse, who served in an anti-aircraft battery in the Ruhr, sits on her bed clutching a pillow to her chest like a child with a stuffed animal. Someone, Annalise does not see who, makes a small choked sound that might be a laugh or a sob. Morrison finishes the distribution and pauses at the door. Through Greta, she says something that Annalise barely processes. If anyone needs an extra blanket, they should inform the duty guard. Extra blanket, without justification. Without having to prove worthiness or medical necessity, just ask. The guards leave. The barracks falls into a strange, heavy silence. Annalise sits on her bed, the blankets in her lap, the pillow beside her. Her hands shake slightly. She tells herself it is fatigue. It has been a long day, a long week, a long war, but that is not why her hands shake. She begins to make the bed, a task she has performed thousands of times. The bottom sheet first, tucking the corners the way she was taught in basic training. The top sheet, smooth and even. Then the blankets. The first one unfolds with a soft wump of fabric. It is large enough to cover the entire bed with room to tuck in the sides. The wool is thick, perhaps 5 millimeters, woven in a tight pattern. She runs her fingers over it. There are no holes, no thin patches, no rough spots where the material has worn through. It is new, or nearly new. She spreads it across the bed, then adds the second blanket on top. 2 layers of genuine warmth. More than she had even in winter, when the cold in the observation post was so severe that she slept in her uniform, her coat, and every piece of spare clothing she owned, and still woke shivering. The pillow goes at the head of the bed. She slides a pillowcase over it, the cotton crisp and cool against her hands. It fits perfectly. She places it carefully, adjusting it so it sits centered. Then she just looks at it. A bed. A real bed. With sheets and blankets and a pillow. The kind of bed she had as a child. The kind of bed she thought she would never have again until the war ended and Germany was victorious and the sacrifices were over. Except Germany is not victorious. Germany is destroyed. She has seen the reports, heard the whispers among the prisoners. Berlin is rubble. The Reich is collapsing. And she is here in an enemy camp in the middle of a desert in America with a better bed than she had serving the fatherland. The thought cracks something inside her. She sits down on the edge of the bed slowly as if testing ice. The mattress gives. The blankets are soft beneath her hands. She lies back just for a moment just to feel it. Her head sinks into the pillow. Real support, real cushioning. The cotton pillowcase is smooth against her cheek. The blankets, even though she is on top of them, radiate a promise of warmth. For 4 years she has been cold, not just in winter but always. A deep bone-level cold that comes from insufficient food, insufficient rest, insufficient everything. She has been told this cold is noble, that suffering is strength, that deprivation is a sign of commitment. She has watched other women crack under it, seen them sent away for weakness, for complaining, for failing to meet the standard. She has prided herself on enduring, on never asking for more, on accepting whatever was given and calling it enough. And now here, as a prisoner, as a defeated enemy, she is given more, not because she earned it, not because she proved her dedication, just because it is policy. Because American camps provide blankets and pillows to prisoners. Standard issue. No justification required. The injustice of it is staggering. She feels it building in her chest, a pressure that grows and grows until she cannot contain it. She rolls onto her side, curling around the pillow, and the tears come. Not quiet tears, not dignified tears. Great, wrenching sobs that shake her entire body. She presses her face into the pillow to muffle the sound, but it is useless. The cotton absorbs her tears, grows damp against her skin. She cries for the cold, for the years of sleeping on straw and waking with aches in every joint, for the mornings when frost coated the inside of the barn walls and her breath came out in clouds and she told herself it was fine, it was necessary, it was her duty. She cries for the lie of it, the monstrous, pervasive lie that suffering was virtue, that deprivation was strength, that asking for basic comfort was weakness. She cries because her own government, the Reich she served, the cause she believed in, gave her less than her enemies now provide. And she does not know what that means, does not know how to reconcile it. Around her she hears other sounds. Margaret is crying too, soft hitching breaths. Ilse is silent, but when Annalise glances over, she sees the other woman lying rigid on her bed, staring at the ceiling, tears running down her temples into her hair. Greta, the translator, sits on the edge of her bed, holding a blanket, her expression blank. No one speaks. What is there to say? They have all lived the same reality. They have all been told the same lies. And now, in this moment, those lies are undeniable. Annalise does not know how long she cries. Eventually, the sobs subside into hiccups, then into shaky breaths. She is exhausted, hollowed out, but also strangely lighter. As if something heavy has been purged, she sits up slowly, wiping her face with her hands. Her eyes feel swollen, her head aches, but the bed is still there, the blankets, the pillow. She looks around the barracks. Most of the women are lying down now, some under the blankets, some on top. The light outside is fading, the desert sky turning shades of orange and purple through the windows. In a few hours it will be dark and cold. The desert, she has learned, is hot during the day but freezing at night. She will need those blankets. She stands, removes her boots, and climbs properly into bed. The sheets are cool and smooth. She pulls the blankets up, one, then the other, tucking them around her shoulders. The weight of them is comforting, a gentle pressure that feels like safety. Her head sinks into the pillow and she adjusts it, finding the perfect angle. It is almost too much, almost overwhelming. She lies there cocooned in warmth and tries to think, tries to process. But her mind is too tired, too fractured. Instead, she simply feels the softness, the warmth, the absence of cold. For the first time in 4 years, she is comfortable, truly comfortable, and it breaks her heart, because it should not be this way. She should not have had to become a prisoner to experience basic human comfort. She should not have had to lose the war to gain a pillow. The Reich promised a glorious future, a 1,000-year empire, strength through unity, through sacrifice, through iron will, but it could not or would not provide blankets. Could not or would not let its soldiers sleep on pillows, could not or would not treat its people as well as America treats its enemies. What does that mean? What does it say about everything she believed? She does not have answers. Not tonight, maybe not ever. But lying here, warm for the first time in years, she knows one thing with absolute certainty. She was lied to. They were all lied to. And the truth is so much worse than the propaganda ever suggested. Across the barracks, someone whispers something in German. Analyst does not catch the words, but the tone is clear. Wonder, disbelief, grief. Another voice responds, equally quiet, then silence again. Tomorrow there will be questions. Interrogations, perhaps, work assignments, the reality of captivity. But tonight there is only this. 12 women in a barracks in New Mexico, lying under wool blankets, heads on cotton pillows, confronting the terrible kindness of their captors. Annalise closes her eyes. The pillow cradles her head. The blankets hold the warmth of her body, reflecting it back to her. She thinks of the observation post, the cold, the straw, the constant, gnawing discomfort that she learned to ignore because there was no alternative. She thinks of the officers who told her that comfort was weakness, that true Germans did not need such things, that suffering built character. She thinks of how easily she believed them, how completely she accepted it. And she thinks of Morrison, the guard with the wedding ring, distributing blankets with the same casual efficiency she might use to hand out mail. Not as a reward, not as a privilege, just as standard issue. Because prisoners deserve blankets, because people deserve basic comfort, even enemies. Especially enemies, perhaps, because treating them well proves something about the captor, not the captive. The thought is too large, too complicated. She lets it drift away. Sleep is pulling at her, heavy and insistent. Her body, warm and supported, is finally able to relax. Muscles she did not realize were tense begin to unclench. Her breathing slows. Just before she slips under, she has one final thought. She will ask for an extra blanket, not because she needs it, but because she can. Because Morrison said they could. Because for once in 4 years, someone is offering her something without demanding sacrifice in return. And maybe, just maybe, accepting that offer is the first step toward understanding what was taken from her, what she gave away, what she lost without even knowing it was gone. The barracks is quiet now. Outside, the desert night settles in, cold and vast. Inside, 12 women sleep under American blankets, dreaming dreams they cannot yet name. And in the morning, when the sun rises over the mountains and the day begins, they will wake warm. For some of them, including Annalise, it will be the first time in years. That warmth will not erase the war. It will not undo the lies or the losses or the things they did in service of a regime that cared nothing for them. But it will be a beginning, a crack in the armor, a small, undeniable truth. They were told suffering was strength. But here now, They learn that kindness can be stronger, that comfort is not weakness, that the enemy they feared treats them better than the cause they served. It is a lesson that will take years to fully understand. Some will resist it. Some will cling to the old beliefs because letting go is too painful. But others, like analysts, will lie awake on future nights, warm under their blankets, and slowly, painfully, begin to rebuild their understanding of the world. It starts with a pillow, with a blanket, with the simple, revolutionary act of being treated as a human being, even in captivity. And sometimes that is enough. Sometimes that is everything. The night deepens. The women sleep. And in the morning, the war will still be ending. The world will still be broken, and they will still be prisoners. But they will wake warm. And that, against all odds, will matter more than they can possibly imagine.